Hello and welcome to this week, episode 31. Can you believe it? 31 of Star Trek Sunday. Hello, Captain Quinn. Good of you to join us. You might notice I'm sadly on my own this week because Keira, bless her, she's not feeling particularly good. Yes, indeed. It's lonely. Well, it's always lonely in the captain's chair, but we know this. But I will crack on, trooper that I am. But yeah, she's not too well, so we're sending her all our very, very best wishes. And she wanted to carry on the show anyway, so that's exactly what I'm doing. And it's a corker of a show. Episode 31, though. My God, this has been going on for some time. Oh, my badge! Yes, this one came with the uniform. It's a bit on the small side for this uniform. Either that or my uniform's my uniform is a particularly large one. But it does feel a little undersized. But yeah, it's what came with the shirt, and I love this uniform. This is obviously the Strange New Worlds uniform, captain's uniform. So yeah, it's particularly nice. It's got lots of detailing on the shoulders and on the arms and stuff. Yeah. Very, very nice. Yes, indeed. Well, my goodness, what a corker of an episode. Hey, yes, and it's Sam. Sam who's with us. And I hope you're feeling better, Sam, as well. Yes, indeed. Subscriber emotes, that's a thing I don't have a clue how to do. But I will put efforts into learning just for you, Sam. Just for you. Hope you are feeling better than you were. Slightly below medium. Well, I believe that's an improvement, isn't it, from where you were? So yeah, below par though, not good at all. And I know you've been knocked for a little while now, so I hope you're feeling better soon as well. My goodness. So with Sam, with Keira, everyone's going down with the lurgy at the moment. Well, it's not the lurgy, fortunately, in both cases, but a lurgy. And now Sam is watching. Sam, this may interest you. This very mug here, is what your mum got me for my 18th birthday. So this mug is 30 years old this year, and it is what your mum got me. That was my 18th birthday present. There we go. It does look like a child's combat. I mean, of course, original series era, these weren't com badges, were they? We know that. Only 30, yes. Only 30 years ago. But yes, it is very, very cool. And I still one of my favourite mugs. So there you go. Well, that's good. Well, no, you don't want to hate to say that you're not ill, Captain Quinn. I know you have had a number of issues on and off for quite some time. So that's good that you're not ill. We don't want everybody ill. That's the thing. Anyway, on with today's episode then. It is a bit of a corker, even if I am here on my own. I'm so in the habit of saying we. I am going to be doing a bit of a review on the original the animated series. Oh my goodness, right, it's all going horribly wrong. The animated series episode Yesteryear. Now we're calling it the animated series still. It's obviously not the animated series anymore because there's now Lower Decks and soon to come Prodigy as well. So we're going to have to come up with a new 3-letter acronym, TAS. Yeah, we're going to have to rename it. It's not the animated series anymore. But anyway, for now, we know what we're talking about. The animated series episode Yesteryear. And tying in with that very, very nicely, we're going to be doing a deep dive into time travel. I will be paying a visit, as ever, to the Divine Treasury. And of course, it wouldn't be Star Trek Sunday if we were not bringing you the very latest Star Trek news. So kicking it all off then, the animated series episode Yesteryear, which first aired on the 15th of September, way back in the mists of time in 1973, the year I was born, of course. And it's a good job that Keira's not here to make comments on that. So, yeah, that's a thing. But yeah, so the 15th of September 1973, I was less than 1 year old when this first aired, and it is the second episode of season 1, so it was still very much finding its feet at the time. And the story it tells is, upon his return from a journey through the Guardian of Forever, Kirk realises that history has been altered and no one remembers Spock. An Andorian is now his first officer, and it appears that Spock met an untimely death during a childhood ritual on Vulcan. Spock must use the Guardian again and return to the Vulcan of his youth and restore his timeline. Yes, there were lots of people that weren't born back in 1973. I am not one of them. Yes. So, I love the animated series. I know it's a bit cheesy and it's a bit kitsch, but I think it holds a massive amount of appeal. And as much as there's the whole argument about, well, is it canon, isn't it canon? Gene Roddenberry said it wasn't. The studio said it was. I like to think it is very much canon, because it's been the inspiration for so much that has gone on since. I mean, right up until, the 2009 J.J. Abrams movie. There are influences from this very episode in that movie. So, and huge amounts of inspiration, of course, in Enterprise as well. But all throughout, really, it's definitely watch it. I mean, they're on Netflix. Well, the animated series is on Netflix. Give them a watch. I mean, you're looking at less than half an hour per episode. Well worth it. You do have to kind of accept it's not got the complexity of the original series. But I think, if you think of it as a 4th and 5th year mission, yeah, absolutely. And the good thing, of course, about the animated series is they were able to go a bit more weird and wonderful on the aliens. Hence why you've got, these wonderful creatures behind me. Maress there. Oh, yes, we like a bit of Maress. And, of course, influenced T'Ana as she is now. Not quite inspiration for Burnham as such, but there's no question she's captain. That's not that's not a secret now. But season 4, exactly. But I mean, oh god, yes, the Caitians in Star Trek 4 were terrible, and of course there's Caitians in the J.J. Abrams one, although they were far less catty, just basically had tails and ears, and were funny colours. But yes, so now normally at this point in the show, Keira and I would compare our bingo scores, which obviously Keira's not here to share hers with. I don't know if anybody watching has done the bingo sheet on this episode, but if you have, do stick your score into the chat. The chat you can find either, if you're watching on YouTube, you can chat away there and I'll see it, or you can head on over to twitch.tv/stooge_action. The links are all in the description below. And in fact, just below me on the screen is the Twitch channel. But you can join in the chat if you're just watching and lurking. But if you want to stay lurking, that's absolutely fine as well. You're very, very welcome. So, our little bingo that we run, where we have however many it is, 5 times 5, we have 25 squares of different things that you expect to see in a Star Trek show. Things like techno babble, over explanations, yellow alerts, red alerts, all that sort of thing. Now, each square, we're running a special competition whereby you can win a special Star Trek Sunday bingo t-shirt, as designed by Keira, which is in the finishing touches of designing it, so can't wait to see it. But the way you can win this is by picking or finding an episode that scores a certain amount on the bingo. Now, each square is worth 5 points. That's nice and simple. If you get a full vertical or horizontal or even diagonal line of 5, that's an extra 5 points. Now, we've got our own resident Vulcan to check the maths on this, and that totals a possible score, if you were to tick every single box, of 85. Now, all you need to do is score 65 or above with a single episode of Star Trek from any series. We're discounting the movies. We're not including the movies, but any single episode. If it's a two-parter, it's one of the two-parters. It's not both together. But any single episode of Star Trek, all you have to do is just get this bingo sheet from the Discord, or you can email us, or you can message us on Twitter, or any of that good stuff. But do get in touch, get the bingo sheet, and then note the timestamp of where you hit each square. We only need one. We don't like if it, for example, if there's like 5 different sections in the show where they talk about technobabble, we only need the first one. That's fine. But put the timestamp, so minutes and seconds of when that actually happens in the episode. And if you score 65 or over, if we agree with your score, you get this t-shirt. It is yet to be won. We have someone right here. Well, saying Tuesday it will be done. Captain Quinn is threatening that. Captain Quinn's saying he's found an episode that does score it. So, you need to get in there, get those timestamps in, get that back to us so we can double check it, and win yourself a t-shirt. Very, very exciting. So, I expect you're very keen to hear how many points I managed to score with Yesteryear, the animated series. I got an incredible 4 points, possibly 5. One of them is, I mean, quite often Keira and I will have tenuous ones, but this is like a little bit more tenuous than normal, so I'm going to leave it up to yourselves whether it is 4 or 5. So that I got absolutely nothing on the top row, which is unusual because the first square is technobabble. Normally that's a given for any episode, but I couldn't find any in this. Now maybe that's because animated series was kind of dumbed down a little bit for kids, because it was aimed at a much younger generation, which is why I get a little bit annoyed. Like Prodigy, it's the first one for kids. No, it's not. The animated series was. Durr. Right, but before I get off on a rant, but yeah, no technobabble in this, nothing at all on the top line, so that means no turbo lift conversations, no red alert, no particles causing problems, no space anomalies. On the second row, however, I did get 1 point. I got a point for a conference room conversation. Now, Keira and I had a little bit of a debate last week as to the conference room conversation for the original series episode Conscience of the King, where she was thinking, hang on, is that Kirk's ready room or is it the conference room? So I'm thinking, is it really that different? I mean, it's where he holds conferences, so I think that's the conference room. So that room's used again in this episode. So there we go. Yeah, I'm saying it is a conference room. Star Trek is supposed to be a family show, but then you've got some shows that are directed at specific sort of age groups. Like, for example, I mean, Discovery and Picard, you wouldn't say were for kids at all. In fact, I would be I would question people like showing those shows to younger children. So it depends kind of who the target market is. Same with Lower Decks. Lower Deck, very much an adult market, by the language, by the imagery. Definitely aimed at adults. So Star Trek as a whole is a family show, but elements of it. Think, so I'm going to go away, genre away now, to Doctor Who. Now, Doctor Who, of course, famously a family show. Then you got the Sarah Jane Adventures, definitely aimed at kids, and Torchwood, definitely aimed at adults. I think we're seeing a similar thing with Star Trek, but the animated series was definitely aimed at kids. It was like a Saturday morning filmation production, so yeah, definitely a kids show. But we can all enjoy kids shows, can't we? So that's the second row, so that's 1 point. On the third row, I got aliens almost exactly like humans, and as ever, we pick Vulcans quite often for this. Vulcans, Bajorans, anyone who is like almost exactly like a human, but just slightly not. Tarantino Trek. I'm hoping Tarantino Trek doesn't happen, to be honest, because I don't know. I love Tarantino. Obviously, I love Star Trek. I just excuse me. Oh dear. See, it made me cough even talking about Tarantino Trek. No, I don't think the two are a good mix at all. But that's my that's my opinion, and other opinions are available. So that was my only one from the third row. Is aliens almost exactly like humans, bringing the score to 2. On the fourth row, there was only 1 point that I got here, which was time travel undoes everything, which it absolutely does. And hello, Conti. Great to see you. Continuum Track has joined us. I'm so glad you have. Just going through the bingo sheet at the moment for the animated series episode Yesteryear. And on the fifth row, we got over explanation, which is absolutely almost every single episode there is over explanation. And the last one that is very ambiguous as to whether or not it actually counts or not, and I'm going to let you decide for me, because there's nothing in it really. It's the difference between 4 and 5 points, which is terrible anyway. But Prime Directive gets broken. Now what I'm saying here is the temporal Prime Directive is what gets broken in this episode, which is not the Prime Directive. I know it's a different thing altogether, so that's why I'm saying like even more tenuous than usual. So you tell me, does temporal Prime Directive being broken count or not? I mean, even though I'm the one who ticked it, I'm inclined to say it doesn't, because it's a different directive. But there we go. Oh, that's very kind of you, Conti. Thank you for sharing the video. But yeah, there we go. Ready Room Convo could be a quiet convo on the British. Well, the conference room, because obviously on the bingo sheet it's a conference room conversation. Theoretically, but I think especially when a ship has a conference room, like Voyager, like the Enterprise D, things like that, then it would definitely be a conversation in that conference room. But any room could technically be a conference room. I get what you're saying there. I am severely undersubbed. Yes, that's very kind of you to say. But we get there. We'll get there. So there we go. Did any of you watch Yesteryear? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do jump in the chat and say and give your opinions. Definitely want to hear. In the meantime, I'm going to throw some trivia about this episode at you. Starting with the Saylat, the saber-toothed bear-like creature that is Spock's pet. Now, this was first actually mentioned in the original series episode Journey to Babel. And in that episode, Dr. McCoy asks Spock's mother Amanda what Spock was like as a child, and she mentions the pet then. Of course, we did get to see a live-action Saylat, albeit a CGI live-action Saylat, in Enterprise. Yeah, do you know what content? Not everyone is. And I was saying, I think before you joined the stream, it was very much sort of aimed at kids. It was Saturday morning cartoon time, which, that's not going to appeal to everyone, and that's absolutely fine. But I like it, and for me personally, it's still canon. But it doesn't have to be for everyone. That's the great thing about canon, is we can have our own opinions individually about what's canon and what isn't. So there we go. Now, Sarek obviously appears in this episode, and originally it was James Doohan who recorded the lines for Sarek, but they weren't used when it was discovered that Mark Leonard was actually available to do the recording, and that's obviously better than using James Doohan for like 99% of the voices for the series, which he did anyway. The Lematia in this episode, I really like this one. The creatures roar. This Lematia creature that attacks Spock's Saylet was actually the title character's roar from the 1954 Godzilla. So they just reused that sound effect, which I absolutely love. And the writer, D.C. Fontana, based the personality of Spock's pet Saylat on her own pet cat named Bobby McGee, which is a great name for a cat. And fan of the song, if you're not familiar with it, me and Bobby McGee, have a listen to that song. But yeah, that was D.C. Fontana's cat, Bobby McGee, that the pet Saylat was based on. We see in this cartoon the view of Spock's hometown, Shikar, which was added to the background in the remastered version of the original series episode Amok Time, when they remastered it all in 2006. Now we talk about this, whether or not animated series is canonical. Obviously the studio said it is. Gene Roddenberry said it wasn't. Now, despite Gene Roddenberry saying it was non-canonical, many of the details of Vulcan's appearance and culture will be adapted into later Vulcan-centric episodes of, as I say, Enterprise and other Star Trek productions as well. The story also includes a direct reference to the most popular original series episode, The City on the Edge of Forever, written by Harlan Ellison. Because, of course, they are using the Guardian of Forever. Although, in the episode, they don't actually refer to it as the Guardian of Forever, just Guardian. They just say, Guardian. Da-da-da-da-da. See, I can write these scripts. Guardian. Da-da-da-da-da. There we go. That's all we need. Yeah, but it was, in fact, the Guardian of Forever. But other references were there as well, because Spock's bullying at the hands of other Vulcan children had been previously described by Amanda in, again, the original series Journey to Babel, also written by D.C. Fontana, and would, of course, later be depicted in live-action form in the 2009 reboot. But this episode itself takes place in 2269, and, of course, earlier, when Spock goes back in time, to 2237. I am the Guardian of Forever. Yes, I love the Guardian of Forever. I think absolutely brilliant. And, so kind of a minor spoiler alert for Discovery. Yeah, I thought it was a great appearance in Discovery as well. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I won't say any more just because in case of spoilers for people, but yeah, it was definitely a good appearance. Jane Wyatt did not return to play the role of Spock's mother, Amanda Grayson, for this episode because, of course, she'd played Amanda in the original series episode, and instead she was voiced by Majel Barrett. in addition to her regular role as Christine Chapel and other guest characters as well. Wyatt did return to the role, however, after 19 years in Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. There we go. DC Fontana included the death of Spock's pet as a way of helping children deal with the death of their pets. NBC, however, wanted the pet's death removed from the script, but Fontana held out, and Gene Roddenberry supported her. I'm all about that. I think that was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, and if we kind of, it's easy to dismiss kids shows and cartoons and say, but it's a kids show. But that sort of thing, it really does help children to, prepare them for life, really, when it's done well and properly. No, I don't think Keira is quite yet either. Yeah. When this series premiered, obviously this was the first series of the animated series, George Takei was running for Los Angeles City Council at the time. Now, his opponents protested that airing any episode with Takei in it would violate the equal time law, which states that political opponents must have equal time on television. So, although this is the second episode of Series 1, in Los Angeles, this episode was aired first, before Beyond the Farthest Star, because Takei does not appear in it. So there you go. So that's the trivia for this week on that episode. Animated series is a unique thing, but I think it's well worth a watch. I like it. It's not for everyone, but I enjoy it. So moving on to the next section of the show today, talking about time travel, getting all wibbly wobbly timey wimey about the whole thing. So, time travel, as we know, is the ability or the act of travel forward or backwards in time, thus breaking the seemingly irreversible flow of time. The study of this phenomenon is one of the focuses of temporal mechanics within the Star Trek universe, obviously. Alterations to historical events can cause, amongst other things, alternate timelines and realities. Early on, though, as late as 2154, however, time travel was deemed impossible by the Vulcan Science Directorate, as they kept repeating, as T'Pol kept repeating, of course, in Enterprise. Vulcan Science Directorate has decided that time travel is impossible. Well, they were wrong, because it isn't. Now, the United Federation of Planets had some form of time travel ability at least since 2268, which was the first, obviously, original series episode to feature time travel. Regulations on time travel were later imposed to prevent alterations from being made to the timeline. In addition to the Federation, the Borg Collective, Bajorans, and the Klingon Empire were also known to have some form of time travel capabilities. And it makes you wonder if the Andorians did, if the Cardassians did, if all Romulans, if they've all had some form of capability themselves. We just haven't encountered stories about it yet. There we go. There's some fan fiction there waiting to be written, I'm sure. Historical research in 2268 suggested the Federation was capable of controlled time travel and used this ability at the very least for research purposes. If you think about the episode, Operation Annihilate, isn't it, with Gary Seven? Yes, which we talked about lots of episodes ago. If a species have warp speed, they can time travel. In theory, it may depend on the type of warp. It may depend on the warp technology, though. I'm not entirely sure. I know the slingshot effect is one, but whether that applies for all warp bubbles, or I don't know. I don't know. I wouldn't like to say. So, as of 2378, at least 40 different instances of some form of time travel have been noted in Federation records. Technologically speaking, the Federation's capabilities concerning time travel, for the most part, remained unclear. Again, in Operation Annihilate, I think they maybe mentioned slingshots. Not 100%. I'd have to rewatch the episode to be sure. In the 25th century, time travel was still possible, mostly, but still very risky, and that's the big thing. You know, can you do it safely? There's a big thing in there. As of the 26th century, however, historians and anthropologists used time pods to travel through time to observe historical events. But in the 29th century, the Federation had the ability to scan time as well as space and travel back, and presumably forward, in time to attempt to fix issues and anomalies. Skipping ahead even further to the 31st century, however, time travel was then commonplace. Federation temporal agents from this time became involved in the Temporal Cold War, which eventually led to the Temporal Wars. After these wars, time travel was banned and the technology used to travel in time was destroyed. There are, however, a number of different methods of time travel throughout the Federation history. Known methods, or methods that we know of, are creating a black hole using red matter, a la the 2009 J.J. Abrams reboot, use of a chrono deflector, using the temporal nexus, of course, because James Kirk goes in at one point, he comes out at a completely different time, using the Bajoran or the Prophet's Orb of Time, Q powers. That's always a good one for getting across various times. From Discovery, of course, we now know that using the Red Angel suit using a time crystal is a fairly safe and easy method. Using the slingshot effect, or the light speed breakaway factor, to give it its technical term. Using a temporal causality loop. Now, I always think of that one as more of an effect of time travel rather than an actual method. But I suppose with the temporal causality loop, you are constantly just going back in time, over and over again. Was it only the Bounty I'm sure it was in an original series episode, and I've got in mind it was either Operation Annihilate or it was the one where they beam the fighter pilot aboard when the jet breaks apart. But I'm sure it's mentioned. You don't get to see it, but it was mentioned in an original series episode. I'd need to recheck that, but I feel I feel fairly confident on that one. 9+ for the Bounty 2. Yeah, indeed. So other methods of time travel are a temporal conduit, of course, a temporal transporter, which was used repeatedly by 7 of 9 in Voyager, a temporal vortex, a time portal, and not unlike, of course, the Guardian of Forever, and the one that the O'Briens found on the planet that Molly fell through. No, she didn't fall through a planet, she fell through the portal. And, of course, wormholes. We know that wormholes themselves can travel through time as well as space. So there we go. But I'm gonna ask everyone watching, what is your favourite time travel story from Star Trek? I know a lot of people like the whole Star Trek 4. story. I mean, I struggle to. I love the time travel episodes. I mean, Trials and Tribulations, of course, is an absolutely phenomenal one. But the ones that happen a little bit bizarrely, Eye of the Needle in Voyager, for example, when they don't realise that they're talking to the guy through time, and that for me, that's probably up there. So from the Delta to Romulan space wormhole is one of the time travels. Yes, that's the one. Eye of the Needle. Like I say, that's probably one of my favourites because it's a little bit different and a little bit unusual. So there we go. Now it's time for the Divine Treasury, and I've got a very, very, very special treat for you all on this one, because it's not just one item, not just one unboxing on this show. Oh no, you're getting 2 unboxings today. So to do the first one, we are going to be unboxing the Eaglemoss ship, the USS Newton. Now this is from the 2009 J.J. Abrams movie. The Newton was one of the first ships to respond to the Vulcan emergency and was lost with all hands. Interesting to note its registry, NCC 1727. 1727, of course, was the year that Sir Isaac Newton died. This is one of the Eaglemoss online-only exclusives. It used to be the bonus collection from the... oh, excuse me, coughing away. From the collection. Oh, better. It used to be the bonus collection. They're now called online exclusives. But there we go. So, going to open this up. Now, before we do, actually, just having a quick look at the back of this. It's got some other things that are coming up. You've got the Hierarchy Survey Vessel coming up. The USS Valiant, that's the concept version of the Defiant. There is a Kazon Predator, Steth's coaxial ship Nomad, which I'm really looking forward to, and the Telexian observation craft. There's a number of new ones coming through on this collection. Should be very nice. As ever, you have the magazine, which talks about the ship. Some basic stats for it. It talks about the ship itself. Some shots from the movie, some nice bit of artwork, and talking about concept art and illustrations as well in the magazine. So very, very nice. But that's not what we're here to see, is it? We're here to see the actual ship. So if I can get this out without breaking it, that would be helpful. There we go. So it's an unusual ship. It has 2 secondary hulls, which is weird. Okay, 2 deflector dishes, and of course the nacelles located above. A semicircle saucer section there. The die-cast part is the saucer section, and heading towards the engineering. The rest of it is all plastic, unfortunately. But it's it's nice. It's really well detailed. I don't know how well it's coming through on the camera, but you're getting some nice Aztecing in the paintwork there. It is a very, very nice model. It's not a ship that I remember seeing even in the movie, and I've seen the movie quite a few times now. But yeah, not bad at all. So, now you're going to be crying out to me, hang on, you said there was 2. You said there was going to be 2 in the Divine Treasury. Well, there is. Hold your horses. Because the other one is so big I couldn't even fit it under that camera. So this is a huge box I've got here, 3.4 kilograms net, gross weight is 4.1. It is a massive old box here that arrived during the week. And you may remember some while ago I made an announcement about some stuff that that Eagle Moss was releasing soon. And if you look where it says here, Star Trek Borg Cube Advent Calendar, I got it after all. I wasn't 100% certain if I was going to get it, but I decided to anyway, and here it is. Now I won't be opening the entire Advent Calendar. What I plan to do during December is do a very short video each day of that day's unboxing, as it were. But we can at least open this up. I'm very pleased with the size that this has come through at. So yeah. Obviously I haven't opened it yet, so if it's all broken, well, there we go. Hope not. Hey. So here we are. So open it up, it's very shiny. It's covered in cellophane, as one would expect. But you can see in there lots and lots of Borg QB details. Oh my goodness. So I'm going to try and do this cleverly if I can. Tip it upside down and slide the cardboard box off. It's coming, here it is, it's upside down, but never mind, let's turn it the right way. There we go. Oh my goodness, yes, it is nice and big old Borg cube. And the great thing about this is this will sit with my Eagle Moss kind of ships. Most of them are smaller even than the Newton class, but it's going to dwarf them and look kind of cool next to the collection. Very pleased with this. It has on one side of it, this is the side with the different sort of shelves in it. These slide out and then the boxes are inside them. And it says Star Trek Collector's Advent Calendar contains 24 days of high quality gifts, ages 14 and above if you're considering this yourself. Oh, and it actually tells you what's inside. So here we go, sneaky preview of what's going to be inside it. There, I'm wearing the wrong glasses for this. There are photo playing cards, pin badge, Quark's bar bottle opener, nice. Vashti art print, socks. Well, it wouldn't be Christmas without socks, would it? And all sorts of other lovely goodies. But yeah, so we got this to look forward to in December. I can't wait. Lots of key rings, mugs, socks. Yeah, all sorts of nice things. Yeah, looking. Oh, it's clinking. Okay, doesn't sound broken. That's okay. But yeah, really looking forward to that. Oh my goodness, aren't I just very excited for this Christmas. How much was it? It retails at £119. You can get it from eaglemoss.co.uk. And as with all their orders, if it's over £50, you get free delivery. So nice. So hopefully it'll be worth it. Yeah, it's one of those you have to take a deep breath when you do it. But yeah, but I couldn't not, because you know I mean, especially when it comes to the Starship Collection, I am a completionist. So yeah, there we go. Oh gosh, that's a hell of a Divine Treasury for today. Yeah, I mean this. I'll show you why I wasn't gonna. That's why I wasn't going to open it on the usual camera. It's just far too big. But there we go. Yeah. So, my goodness, nearing the end of today's show. Perhaps a little bit shorter than usual because, of course, Keira not being with us and to chat to, but no matter, because we do still have, of course, the latest Star Trek news, starting, of course, with probably the biggest news this week is Discovery. Yesterday, a new trailer for Discovery Season 4 dropped, and oh my goodness, it does look good. Now, obviously, when the Picard trailer dropped, I showed it on screen and we talked about it and I dissected it, and basically YouTube got all weird with me and said, no, you can't show other people's. Okay, so I'm not going to be showing the trailer, unfortunately, but it's well worth. If you go to StarTrek.com, it's on there and you can watch it without a problem. I don't use a VPN and I was able to watch it, so they haven't limited it for US only or anything like that. So well worth looking at there. Some amazing images there. We've got the president of the Federation is a Cardassian Bajoran human woman. So yeah, some new races. They do have a reworking of a Ferengi. Well, we don't know yet if it's a reworking or if that Ferengi just happens to look a little bit different, because humans tend not to look alike. Why would Ferengis have to? They're certainly in keeping with the traditional stylings of a Ferengi. And of course, with modern prosthetics, with modern, the way that the cameras work and things like that, they're able to capture much, much more detail. So yeah, does look good, that Ferengi. You can find that image all over the place, and yes, and now in the breaking news section of the Discord as well. Yeah, it does look really, really good. So there's some new races, there's some familiar races, and yeah, the whole storyline, they're out to save the galaxy again. Yeah, I'm really, really excited for it. One image in particular, that kind of it's fairly early on in the trailer. It's kind of an oval with tailed off bits. Really put me in mind of Vija in a big, big way. And so this is my prediction. I might be utterly, utterly wrong and have completely no concept, but I'm wondering if Vija is making a return in Discovery. I'd love to see that, to be honest. I'm one of the very few people who likes the motion picture, but yeah, I really want to see what happened to Vija beyond it. Yeah, Strange New Worlds will be episodic. Yeah, that was announced some weeks ago. But yeah, so that's my prediction is Vija. I might be completely and utterly off the mark, but we will have to see. But the good news is we don't have to wait very long to find out, because as long with announcing the trailer and releasing the trailer, they have also announced the release date, which is the 18th of November. Now, this is 18th of November globally, as we understand it, on Paramount Plus in the USA and Netflix in the UK. So really, really looking forward to that. And going by the way it's worked in the past with Discovery, yes, it releases sort of 7 p.m. one night in the US, and we get it sort of 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock the next day on Netflix, which is great. Totally unlike Amazon Prime, where I don't know why we don't get Lower Decks until like the afternoon on a Friday, which is silly and annoying, because it's really hard to avoid all the bloody spoilers in the meantime. It has been announced as Netflix, yes, they as part of their announcement. Some announcements have been really woolly on details, but I have found a couple of announcements saying, yeah, globally, like it's going to be on Netflix in many countries, including the UK. They have said so. Yeah, you can take that now to the bank because it's come from Paramount themselves. Ooh. And this week, Discovery wasn't the only trailer to drop because History Channel's new documentary, The Centre Seat 55 Years of Star Trek, has dropped this week as well, the trailer for that. Which, oh, excuse me, coughing away again. And that looks really, really good. If you search YouTube for The Centre Seat 55 Years of Star Trek, you'll find the trailer really easily. Well worth watching. It looks like it's a bit of a no holds barred. There are lots of people they've interviewed who aren't afraid to kind of dish the dirt a little bit when appropriate, it seems, going by the trailer. Of course, there's a huge amount of love as well being given, so it's not just a slagging off fest or anything like that. But that looks really, really good. It's from the same people that brought you The Toys That Made Us and things like that. So, really, really good documentary people behind it. Can't wait for that one. And of course, going back onto the Discovery trailer, that was, of course, dropped at New York Comic Con, which ends today. Hang on, America's ahead of us, so it's probably ended now. But it ran from the 7th to the 10th of October. It included 2 official Star Trek panels, the Discovery one, obviously, and Prodigy as well. Now, the Prodigy panel was today at 12:45 Eastern Time, and it included a preview of the first episode of Prodigy as well. So, those who know where to look for their spoilers, it's going to be all over the place. I suspect they're going to have a hard time keeping what the first episode is about under wraps, I think. But we will see. They've also, of course, as with any Comic-Con, got exclusive merchandise going, including the very, very highly coveted Hallmark Klingon Bird of Prey. This year's, of course, is the HMS Bounty, as mentioned by you earlier, Captain Quinn. That is the Hallmark ornament this year. And of course, New York Comic Con was the place to get it. I've never collected the 5 hours yet. 5 hours. Excellent. So I've never been one for the Hallmark stuff myself. Probably, I kind of got my hands full with the Eagle Moss and Hero Collector stuff, to be honest. But yeah, I know people who do collect the Hallmark stuff, and there's some tasty gear in there. And of course, it's nice to hang it on a tree. And the final bit of news for this week. Last week we reported that William Shatner was allegedly heading into space. Now we can confirm he is definitely heading into space, because the reports have been confirmed that the Shat will be on Bezos's spacecraft New Shepard NS-18 in 2 days' time on the 12th of October. This means he is the oldest person ever to go into space, being 90 years old. Other crew members will include Audrey Power, who is the VP of Flight Operations, Chris Bushilson, and Glenn DeVries, who is, of course, a very experienced astronaut. If you're interested in seeing if it all goes well and according to plan, live coverage will be at blueorigin.com from 90 minutes before launch time, which is scheduled for 8:30 a.m. CDT or 1:30 p.m. UTC. blueorigin.com if you fancy watching that. If you want to see the Shat getting shot into space, Go watch that there. Well, my goodness, I'm coughing my way through this. Ooh. Do excuse me. Oh dear. But that is all the time we have for this week. All the news we have anyway. Keira, hopefully, will be back with us again next week. We hope you will be as well. Because, do you know what? All right, so I plan out in advance what we're going to be talking about, like the deep dive. We change it quite often, but I sort of like do a loose plan. And ever since I put this one in the planner, I've been excited and really looking forward to this one. We are going to be doing a deep dive on the number 47. So now those that know, the number 47 crops up in some unusual places in Star Trek. So we will be looking into that and doing our deep dive on the number 47. Really looking forward to it. We will be discussing the Discovery episode Battle of the Binary Stars, one of the very early Discovery episodes. We will, of course, be paying another visit to the Divine Treasury. And, of course, we're going to be bringing you the latest news from the Trekverse. So, in the meantime, peace and long life, and live long and prosper. Take care for now. Bye.